looks good, then we'll use it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go over the dashboard operations with you guys really quick.
Okay.
So we know what the need is. Our company driver need, I'm actually start on 12/29, the week ending in 12/29. Our company driver need was 43. You guys see that 43 number? And then the week after that, which was 1/5, our total company driver need went to 18. So
Wow.
we did a great job. So keep up the good work. I'm proud of you guys. Bonnie, you killing the remotes as well, and that's what we're gonna go to next, Bonnie and Israel. So we have open FTS positions. The week of the 29th, it was at 10. And the week ending in 1/5 was 8. And the week ending in 1/12 is actually 5.
Nice.
So now we have 5 open FTS positions, which is Piola and Maria's dedicated.
Okay.
Awesome. Previous, if we go all the way back to 10/17 of last year, we needed 16 positions for FTS, and we're all the way down to 5. So we did a really, really good job.
Nice.
So whatever you guys are doing with those remote locations, keep up the good work. I know one of the hardest for Bonnie, well, when you came on board, Bonnie, it was Reno. Reno was
Reno and Denver.
outrageous. And you have Reno and Denver at 0, so great job. Keep up the good work. And Israel, how did you get Portland to 0?
Well, a lot of hard work and help. I think being able to come together as a team and still being able to help in those locations, I think was a big help. But
Good
yeah,
deal.
definitely having a good manager up in Portland as well, who's responsive and actually able to meet the drivers at the times that he can, so that he can road test them and get them out to the clinic right away.
Right.
That helps a lot too.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Piola, Washington? It seems like we're having a struggle there.
Yeah, so we're having a struggle to fill the last 2 positions. The need was at like 7. Yeah. So that's really good that it's gone down so much. And the last 2 we're having a struggle. I think lately my issue has been that when they hear mileage, they get completely turned off. What they want is exclusively hourly. So even though I try to explain to them on an annual basis what they will be making, they still think it's a risk, because when you do mileage, it's not a guarantee that you're going to drive the amount of miles.
And then I don't think it's hard to sell them on the mileage. What I think is the hard part is them doing the 100-pound lift test and then the unloading part of it. When we have them go and do a 100-pound lift test now, the driver is thinking they're going to be lifting something 100 pounds, which they're not really lifting nothing that's 100 pounds. So what do you guys think we can do without me going up to Washington? What can we do right now so they can have an understanding of the lifting in Washington?
So I think the lifting, we can't necessarily scratch it, or maybe we can get rid of it. But I think before they go to the clinic, they have to do an interview and a road test with the manager. So I think maybe getting with somebody like Ron, who's the manager up there, and explaining to them what they're going to be doing, and then letting Ron know, hey, now they're going to do a 100-pound lift test, but before they do that, let them know exactly what they'll be doing,
Right.
so that they don't go in there thinking, oh, I'm going to be doing 100 pounds every single day.
Right.
That's not necessarily true, because
Right.
we're 95% no touch rate.
But
on
not
our
in
line
Piola,
side.
That's 100%.
That's 100%. But on the line side, we're 95%, and they still have to do the 100-pound lift test.
Right.
And so,
How about
I think a great way is just literally explaining it to them.
yeah.
Because when we talk to them, we inform them that we're going to send them to the clinic, and we tell them what tests they're going to be doing. So at that time, some people will say, well, why am I doing that, or a 100-pound lift test? And I say, well, that's just the protocol that we have to have you do. You know, and then they have the understanding that, oh, this is just the protocol.
Yeah.
So they don't really necessarily have the thought that that's what they're going to be doing every day, but they do understand that's the protocol in terms of the clinic steps.
right?
Yeah.
How about, now that we're talking about it, what I think we can do is, because we have those CERTA loads come here to Southern California, I think you and I should go and deliver a CERTA load here, and then we can, because it's the same
That's a good
operation, it's the same unload, it's the same thing. So we can take Dustin with us, or you guys can drive the van and I can drive the truck, and we'll meet at a location, and we'll just record me taking the mattresses out of the trailer. So would that be a good idea?
That'll be helpful. That'll be definitely helpful.
Okay, so
And then filming it and showing them that, you know, what actually the day in the life of that will entail of.
alright. So I'll talk to Tom. Page.
And then, yeah, me communicating to them about the 100-pound lift test is helpful, and I have done it. And I'll continue to do it, because that's what I did with the last guy that didn't want to continue because of the 100-pound lift test. But I think hearing somebody over the phone in Southern California while they're in Washington versus talking to the manager that's there in Puyallup, letting them know face to face, hey, this is what you're actually going to be doing. It just kind of gives them a sense of assurance, like, oh, it's really not just all 100 pounds, a day. So I think that's helpful. Both are helpful, because then they're hearing it from some guy in California, and then they're hearing it from
we'll
the
get
manager.
with Tom and get one of those loads, hopefully within the next week, and we'll take Dustin with us as well so he can record it. And then you and I, we can I'll have you do the unloading.
Yeah.
That way they can see the Washington recruiter on the video doing the job. So then when we speak to them, we can tell them and they can feel that we're being genuine, like it's not a lot of lifting. Because if somebody tells me to unload 100 mattresses, I'm gonna be like, huh? And the first thing come to mind, they had me do that 100-pound lift test. I'm gonna be lugging 100 pounds out of the trailer, which I don't think they should be doing a 100-pound lift test if they're not lifting 100 pounds, but that's something we'll have to talk to Mr. Kraft about.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so cool. So that's the plan for Washington. Now on the line side, what can we do to hire these 18 drivers so we can get the need to zero? Can you imagine us posting an ad
That would be
not posting any ads on
That
Craigslist
would
because
be
every position is filled?
Great, yeah.
Do you guys think we can do it?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
What's been the struggle? What's with the
Qualified
Maria?
drivers.
No, with the Maria's run, because I know this position and it's a dedicated position, and that position has been open for a very long time.
Resets. They're not home the full 2 days.
The
So-
34 hours is
Right,
getting them.
they're only doing the reset at home.
But it should be okay that you're only doing a 10-hour reset. A 34-hour reset at home, because during the week you're coming home for 10 hours. It's not like they're only going home for 34 hours out of the whole week, because when you come back to Southern California, before you pick up the next load, you can do your reset at home, correct?
I don't think all the loads are like that. I think some of them leave here, go straight up to the Pacific Northwest and come
Yeah,
back.
they don't.
And that
They
takes
don't
a full
come
week
home.
already.
No,
They don't.
Yeah.
it doesn't never take a week to go to the Northwest. That's a 2-day run, 2 days up and 2 days back. So that's 4 days.
So that's 4 days. So that's their, yeah.
Well, the only time they come, they don't get home regularly. I thought that they only reset at home, because from the way it looks, they pick up in Southern California, but they're driving all day Monday. They make it up to Oregon on Tuesday, Washington Wednesday. They're driving all day Thursday back down to Ontario. And so, they're, Friday they get back to Ontario, and then they're home. So they're only home Friday night, and then all day Saturday, and then they're leaving Sunday again to go out.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not, they don't get that chance to come home.
It's
it's
2 days up, 2
resetting.
days down. That's already 4 days. So that does take up the week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're out.
So what about? See, what I think we need to do is we need to get the dispatcher for that Georgia Pacific on board, because there is some drivers in that Georgia Pacific that goes to like Northern California, deliver a load, come back down to Southern California, pick up another load, and then may go back up to Washington or back up to Northern California. So we just need a little more information on our end. I think that's why it's
I
tough to
think
sell
also that one's taken. So there were a few for Georgia Pacific, and those that were really convenient for those drivers, like one of our drivers that we have here, it's really convenient for him. It really is. Like, it works for him. He has that flexibility. He's not just resetting at home. He's almost getting home every other day. But for this particular one, there's winter driving. So that's also a challenge. A lot of people are afraid to chain and things like that. Experience. Luckily, we were able to bring it down from 1 year to 6 months, so that helped a lot too. So I think all of those things, like, together are the cons, but the mileage is good, and they like it that they have the same customer.
Right.
So that's always nice. But I think the con is, honestly, we want to be honest with them. They are basically only resetting at home.
Right. So their 10s are off, and so what we'll do is
And
we'll
we can only hire out of Southern California too. And that's another thing. A lot of
Right.
people in Southern California want local,
Home daily.
and they want to be home every day.
But it's weird that a driver would come on board and say, I'll run 11 Western, and he's
Right.
out 5 to 7 days
Yeah.
versus a gentleman that's out, Monday through Friday basically, and get to have Saturday off at home. Like, why do you guys think that is happening like that?
Because as a driver, I was able to, get a load to go through Vegas where I'm from, and I wasn't out 5 to 7 days. I was able to, trip plan myself to get home in 2 days.
Right.
So I really was home a lot more than the 5 to 7 days. It doesn't mean that I was off the clock. It just means that I had the
You did
flexibility.
your 10 off like I'm thinking they can do with this position.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think that's what the difference is, that you have that flexibility to be like, okay, I'm not micromanaged. If I get a load to Salt Lake, I know exactly how to trip plan myself
Right.
to go through Vegas and shut down in the yard for 10
Right.
hours and go home. With this one, you have to be out. And so, you are expected to run up to those areas where you might have to change.
Oh, and that's the biggest one too. They don't want to go up to the snow.
They
The
don't.
Pacific Northwest.
And running on a 5, Bonnie, you're a driver. That's the easiest
Great.
run because they really maintenance that road a lot. The snow plowers are always on the 5. Like if I'm gonna run the snow, I would rather run the snow on the 5.
We
That's
had,
the safest highway to run the snow on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
we had a gentleman come in yesterday, and I offered him the dedicated because he wanted something that was home daily. He told me no, because I don't want to run the 5. Why? Because California's speed limit is 55 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So they don't like that. They don't want to just be in that state where it's only 55 miles per hour and it's slow and it can be traffic and things like that. So the
Right.
5, you're right, is great in terms of the winter driving,
Right,
but you're in California like most of the way.
right,
Yeah.
right. That
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
I had somebody call and they thought that they were going to Georgia, not to the Pacific Northwest. Like I thought it said Georgia. Like no, it's for Georgia
Oh,
Pacific.
oh,
They're like,
yeah.
they're like, I don't want to go to Washington.
He said,
I don't want to go to
"Cha-ching,
Portland.
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
flatland." Because running to Georgia,
Yeah.
you're gonna run on a lot of flatland.
Right.
And that's why some drivers like running 48 states because it's
Mhm.
flat.
Yeah.
Going that way to Georgia,
True.
especially Texas. A lot of people like to run
Yes.
to Texas
Yeah.
because it's flat.
Mhm.
So what can we do? What's gonna be our plan of attack for this Georgia Pacific?
When did we? So I think bringing the experience level down to 6 months, that was kind of
Should
recent,
help.
right?
Yes.
I think that should help because a lot of greenhorns that come out, that they have their experience and being able to sell it to them that way, they're gonna believe, and it's true that they hit the landmine. It's not that we're tricking them or anything like that, but they're gonna see like, oh, what? So yeah, they get to reset for 34 hours, but it's going to be every weekend that they get to reset, and that's a big selling point. You have the 11 Western guys, they get to reset and they get 2 days, but it's not always going to be on the weekend. So I think for 6-month guys, some of them are new families, some of them are starting up families,
Right.
or they want to leave their families that long. I think that would be the biggest selling point. I think 1 year guys might be a little too much.
So that's what we'll do. We'll see what we can do this week. Let's really try to fill those positions because when we got that Georgia Pacific dedicated, I ensured the team that we would fill these positions. So let's try to take that as a priority and knock that off the board.
Also, when we got them, it was a lot different.
It was.
It was completely different
I do
in its
agree.
entirety.
Thank you, Bonnie.
You're very welcome.
Thank
It was
you.
completely
You got my
different
back.
in its entirety. It
It
was so
was.
structured
It was.
that I could tell someone verbatim what it would be like to do this run, and they did it, and it
Right.
was great. It was not any sort of like waiting. It wasn't like this live load or unload or my trailer's not ready. It was beautiful. We knew the mileage. We knew the deadhead miles.
Right.
We knew the loaded miles.
Right.
We knew so much about it, down to you're going to leave Friday afternoon and be back Sunday morning.
Right. See,
Right.
then I think what happens with that is they had a great idea, but then loads drop and then
Right.
loads get canceled. So
Right.
then it has our dispatchers bringing them back on different loads, and that's what makes them want to say like, hey, let's just say this is a dedicated run, which it is dedicated, a dedicated customer, but it's no telling what customer you'll be delivering to. So it's dedicated Georgia Pacific, but then it's freight that's going to different customers for Georgia Pacific.
And I know,
So
like,
that's what makes it hard to have it structured.
and that for myself, when someone tells me I'm doing a dedicated run, I don't think dedicated customer. I think dedicated run.
Right.
Meaning I'm going to the same place at the same
Same
time, dealing with
So
the same
do you
people.
think we should change the ad to dedicated customer?
I think that
Or we just explain it once they call in?
I think that we shouldn't call it dedicated. I mean, if you guys want to call it dedicated, you can. But then it would be more explaining. It would just be a lot of explaining.
So should we just call it Georgia Pacific Run?
Because
That'd be
that's,
good.
I think that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, I don't think that's misleading. I think that's very upfront.
Okay.
I mean, I think what would attract them the most is saying that it's no touch freight. That could be a big selling point for
Yes.
it. Instead of it being dedicated, just say
Yes.
Georgia Pacific Run, no touch freight.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I think that the way to sell them on it is when they call about the Georgia Pacific run, we can say, well, the great thing is with this customer, they have you, leaving out on a Sunday or a Monday, and then you'll be back on Friday, Saturday. That's something that they didn't know.
Right.
And that's something that they didn't expect. And I think that's a perk. So, instead of it being like, oh, dedicated, wait, I'm not going to the same places. It's like, oh, I am? I'm off on those, I'm resetting on those days.
The same days.
So that's a selling point for us. I mean, we can put that in the ad, but I think it takes away from that word dedicated.
Do you get far with the 7 pay holidays? Is that like a plus on that position?
Yes and no. Yes, because they get paid, but no, because they still have to work it.
And we started out with 10 of those positions, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it was being 10.
Was it? I think maybe. Mm-hmm.
So we're not in bad shape.
No.
We only need 3, and it just went up to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it may
Down
be
to
going
one.
down because
Yeah.
Chris is going to transfer over from line to
Okay.
the Georgia Pacific.
Okay, nice.
So it should go down to 2.
Okay.
So then we only need 2 drivers. So we should be able to fill that within the next couple of weeks.
Correct.
Really.
One thing that I did, one pro that I heard from the driving manager was that she actually prefers drivers who come from temp agencies. She said that she prefers drivers that come from temp agencies because they have been in many different situations. Many different situations, and a lot of time they're doing local, and a lot of time they're backing and doing
Right.
things
That makes
like
sense
that.
for that.
Exactly.
Right.
And so a lot of times that's something that I look for when I'm hiring for that position,
Right.
because I know that the driver's background is going to really meet what the driving manager wants, and then that'll make it more fluid for that driver in that position and the driving manager, and that makes them more hireable.
Right. That makes sense. So that got to be Piola. I don't think they're stressing too much over there with only 2 positions open because of the increase in business.
And we have a couple people in the works as well too for that.
Yeah. But the last 3 we lost was because of that unload, that lift test, the 100-pound lift test. And that was 3 people we lost back to back. So we really have to get that video. And then it's Georgia Pacific. I just don't see it being open for much longer. It's ridiculous that we had that position open so long. But you guys are killing it.
Yeah,
What is this, Bonnie, the 8-4? I know what it is, but I just want you to say I like it.
Infinity. It's Infinity. That one is ongoing
But-
forever and ever.
You know what?
In the best way.
You know what? We can actually put 18 there, but that looks like a lot. But
Yeah.
we almost to 0
Yeah.
on the line.
Yeah.
That'll be nice to just erase one
I
of these eights.
know. And it's
One of
just a
them
full
circles,
0.
yeah.
That would be amazing. No, I think we're doing great. I think that some of the positions might be hard to sell. I'm not, and I'll ask you, Israel, Washington. The cost of living in Washington, is it expensive?
Some parts of it, yeah, they are.
But that run really makes a lot of money.
It does.
You know, they're making up
Yeah.
to 70 grand a year in
Oh.
Washington. Like,
Yeah.
we put $1,000 guarantee
Awesome.
because we knew no driver was making less than 1150.
Awesome.
So when I went to the team, I was like, "Can I put a guarantee on it?" They was like, "Yeah, guarantee $1,000 because we know every driver is making that. So we'll never end up paying a guarantee because they're making that. All that does is ensure the driver
Excellent.
that they're going to make $4 grand plus a month in that position, and
So
which
what-
is true.
So what is the struggle with Washington?
It's the unload.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, it's the lift
unload.
test or the
It's they got to do a 100-pound lift test,
Right.
and then it's all touch freight,
But
and then
that-
it's
Is
mileage.
that Simmons?
Yes.
Yes, it's Simmons.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a Simmons run.
So
And the only reason that we have increased business there is
Yeah.
because they moved to a newer plant
uh,
and it grew. So it's not like we're losing
Right,
the drivers because
right.
we don't lose drivers in Washington,
Got it.
right, Israel?
No.
We don't
Got
lose
it.
drivers. Those are the same drivers
just
that been there a
expanding.
long time. We're adding on.
Okay.
And that's what I try to explain to drivers when I talk to them when I do work the Washington area. I say the only reason that I'm hiring for this position is because we had an increase in business out of this plant. It's
Yeah.
actually a new plant. And that's why we're hiring new drivers. So just so they know that this is not a position that drivers keep quitting. Because if the driver is quitting in the position, then the drivers know that it's a bad position.
Exactly.
So you do want to explain to them that I have really good retention numbers in this position. The only reason I'm hiring is because they're increasing business.
So a lot of times what might help you is lead with what you would want to know. So a lot of times, like when I'm hiring for Salt Lake is doubles. So that's an added challenge. It's mountain driving. It's chaining.
Right.
You know, it's touch freight. Though all of those things are challenges. But if I lead with the challenges and I know they can handle it, then we can move forward.
Yeah, that's what I do as well.
And so when I do that, it's just like they know. You know, they know what they're getting into, and I know that they can handle it.
Right.
Before I even get into the pay, I let them know it's 100% touch freight. I explain to them how they're going to be touching the freight because it's not as hard as Petco. I think Petco's harder because they're taking the pallets all the way off and into the stores. This one, they're just wheeling it to the tail end of the trailer.
Correct. Yep.
So it's not that difficult, but I always let them know first, are you okay with that before I move on to the pay?
And
And they're like, that's great, that's fine.
On the flip side of that, another issue, Bonnie, just because you're asking, is it's mileage and hourly.
Yeah.
So anything outside of 100-mile radius. So these drivers want to get paid hourly. So what I did was went to the team and I was like, hey, can we just pay these drivers? They want hourly. Let's just give them less than what they'll really be getting because they don't understand the concept of running mileage. They're making more money.
Right.
But I had a fight on my hands because we have drivers that's happy there with running mileage because they know when they run mileage, they know they're getting like $29, $28 an hour. So I was trying to bump it down, the hourly around the board. Let's bump it down to like $22, $23 an hour and let them get the hourly that they're looking for. But then you have disgruntled drivers on board that's already happy with the mileage because they know that they're making $29 an hour when they run mileage. So these are just the new drivers. So when you talk to them, you got to break it down to them. You got to say your mileage is at this. So if you look how many miles you can run in an hour, this is what your hourly rate will be. So you got to help them and coach them to figure it out. And then add up the unload fee that's paid to them when they do unload. You got to add up all of those charges so then they can say, I am making good money. And those are the ones that I got up there. I had 7 like 2 weeks ago because I was selling it like that.
Eddie, that is spot on.
Yeah, that's how
you are absolutely correct.
Have to just
that's
break
how
it
I
down.
sell every single position. And the thing is, a lot of people will just start out, well, how much am I going to make, right? They ask you that, and I say, okay, well, let's do it together because it is a range, right? You're not going to make what somebody's been 10 years been making, so I go through it with them, and then I don't even add the stop pay, like you said. Now throw that in there, you know what I mean? So also, is it days when they are only paid hourly and days when they're paid mileage?
Well, it could be a run where they run all local and it be all hourly. So they're not taking multiple trailers, I don't believe. So you either going to do a local day or you're going to go over the 100-mile radius. When you go over the 100-mile radius, that's like driving, over to Oregon or something like that from Washington.
And the reason why I ask that is because Denver's like that. So how do I sell Denver? I just tell them this is primarily a mileage pay run. And the only time you're really going to be looking at that hourly pay is anytime you have to chain, anytime it's a holiday, or any sort of detention pay. So I don't even, I don't really deal with the hourly because I don't want them to have that expectation.
Right.
And so, and that's primarily a mileage pay run, isn't it?
And then also you got to remember that Washington and Oregon is a much more competitive market than Denver. Oregon and Washington is a very, very tough market. Drivers are making good money up there. It's a lot of money to be made up in those 2 states. When I talk to the sales guy, that's where we can grow the business the fastest at in those locations. Like that's why we add on drivers in Washington because it's something strange is happening up there in the Northwest. So that's a very, very competitive market. Denver, like the run we have in Denver, like no other company probably has something that great in Denver. So that's what makes it a lot easier.
I mean, what I mean is stay away from hourly. I wouldn't even talk about hourly.
Well, the way it was explained to me is that hourly and mileage is 50-50. That's something that Ron told me. So it's hard to ignore the hourly, and we bumped it up recently to 24 plus overtime. So that's actually a pretty good selling point. But if it is going to deter them,
because the $24 an hour is really a perk if they are getting it.
But then you hit that wall, right? Because it's not always hourly, and they get so stuck on that.
It's just all about explaining it. It might take longer to explain this position than it would another because you do want to kind of throw that $24 an hour because we bumped it to entice the drivers to come on board, which I think is going to continue going up. We all think that drivers are going to make $100,000 within the next few years. Here at KKW, we're already anticipating and they're gearing up for it. So I might be back on the truck soon.
And
But
then
no-
I'll get my class A.
Right?
There you go.
But I'm thinking, like, you know what, too, is a really good thing I do? What's great, I always tell them what's great is that you actually get a chance to interview with your driving manager. And at that time, you can ask them those questions.
Right.
You know, what I've been
Right.
told is that this is like 50-50 between mileage and hourly, but I don't really want to give you the specifics on that because I don't know what your run will really look like. But this is what it is when you're hourly. I think a lot of it is really kind of just like putting it on the driving manager because they know what they want. Even if it's hard for us to explain it to the driver, they know what they want. They get them in there and they do those interviews and they know what they want. They know what their need is
Right.
at that particular time.
Right.
So they can tell them, yeah, so with you, Eddie, we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing a lot of hourly.
Right.
So then you kind of take it off
Yeah.
of you,
Right,
you know?
right. See, and then another thing, when I had those 7 drivers in the pipeline, Ron was out of town. So he wasn't there to do the interview, so his assistant was just setting them up with the road test.
Yeah.
And then I was sending them the offer letter.
Got
so I
it.
think people were like, wait, I didn't get to ask any questions. All they did was road test me. I only heard what the recruiter said because you know recruiters, they lie.
Yeah.
These recruiters out here. So they don't know
Yeah.
if we're being honest if they don't confirm it with the manager.
Right.
So I think that was an issue when I lost those 3
Agreed.
drivers that week too.
I agree.
probably should have held off until Ron came back, but we never want to wait when you have
Yeah.
drivers. So
No,
Especially
no,
when
you're
you're
right.
sitting on
I
7
think-
drivers too.
Sure, I think you
Yeah.
did it perfectly.
Yeah, so that's what happened. I kind of analyzed it. I'm like, how did I go from
I
7 to be up here like, oh, I got 7 driving? And it's like,
Oh no, yeah,
what happened?
Yeah.
communication.
My goal
is
was
key.
to fill those positions before you came back.
It,
I
it really was.
I'm gonna
He
have
was
these
on
positions
it.
filled before
I've never
Israel
seen
come
him
back.
like that. I was
I
like,
was like,
whoa, Eddie, relax.
I'm gonna fill these positions
Yeah, no, it was-
before Israel come back.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. It fell through.
It's hard. It's,
It's
a hard
hard.
decision.
It's
Yeah.
very hard.
You help with Portland a lot though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you
a big
did.
one.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And Eddie, I think with you, your strength is amazing in communication based on what they're looking for.
Mhm.
So that's why you're so good at you were excellent with those positions because you would listen to the driver and say, okay, she really is more concerned about home time or he's more concerned about hourly versus mileage. That was great. Like I think that that's a good thing, right? Like we sometimes have to listen to them and be like, okay, I don't think, like with Georgia Pacific, no, this guy doesn't really care about getting home. He's more concerned about the miles. Well, it's biweekly pay, and if they're getting 22 to 2,000, 2,200 miles a week, that's 5,000, that could be like 4,400 miles to 5,000 miles a pay period.
And that's what makes a
Yeah.
recruiter great is
Yeah.
we in sales.
Mm.
We're
Yeah.
selling the position because
Right.
truck drivers are needed right now. They're wanted, so these companies are throwing money. A lot of them are lying out the gate. So it's all about being genuine and selling the position to the correct person. Everybody's not the good fit for that seat. And that's what I like to do. I like to deter you from coming on board because if I can say anything that's going to make you not want to come on board with us, the position's not for you.
Exactly.
So that's why I just like to be honest out the gate and tell them the truth and let them know I'm telling them the truth. And if they say it's not for me, then I'm like, if anything changed, give us a call. We still have a position.
And that's why I leave with the cons.
Mhm.
Because if you don't like mountain driving, if you don't like chaining, we don't need to go
We do
further.
the same thing for Washington. I hear Israel. I'm like,
Leave
the
with the
first
cons.
thing I'm gonna tell
Leave
you
with-
about this position is it's touch
Touch
freight.
freight. There you
and
go.
then I tell them what they're touching. If they're okay with that, I'm like, here come the good part. It's Monday through Friday.
Mhm.
It's weekends
There you
off.
go.
I
There
start
you go.
changing my voice.
I
It's
love
weekends
it.
off.
I love
It's
it.
Monday through Friday.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. That's so good because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste
Right.
their time.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that.
I mean, the other thing too is not just the hourly pay that they want, but they want truly local.
Mhm.
So a lot of them,
Yes.
I've had a bunch of drivers tell me like, "Oh, I don't want to go on the other side of the mountains. I want to stay
Right.
right here on the west side of Washington."
Right.
So that's where I'm like, "Yeah, you're going to be going over to Spokane. You're going to be going to Yakima." So that's
So-
the other hard part as well.
As well, let's talk about January. Last year, in January, I want to say we hired 8 drivers. Last year
On the line side,
on the line side, 8 drivers. I think they were combined. I'm gonna give them 8 to 10. I don't want to just sell them so low and I'm wrong, but I think it was 8. But I'm gonna say between 8 and 10. And this year, I believe we did 22.
Nice.
Wow.
We did 22 drivers in January, so we outdid the numbers last year.
Great.
You guys are killing it down there. I really wish you guys would hit the numbers for yourself every month, but that's something we got to work on to see how to make sure we hit those numbers all the time. And I just say, communicate with each other a little better. You guys got to work hand in hand. Y'all the two recruiters in there. You guys have to really be on point with each other. It always got to feel like y'all got each other back at all times. Like if a driver, just for example, let's say like the driver that walked in the other day, he has started out with Bonnie. Anytime like a driver starts with a recruiter in y'all shared area, I would say make sure that that driver goes back to that recruiter.
Sure.
You can help them out as much as you can as teamwork, like I do you guys. I try to take care of you guys drivers like it's my drivers. Y'all have to do the same thing with each other. And if the recruiter starts with one recruiter, make sure that they go back to that same recruiter, because you don't want to bounce them around. You can lose them that way too by bouncing them around. So make sure y'all keep that consistency going with the same recruiter they started with. Now, if you're digging, you know how I say digging through the dirt, and you pull a driver out and they were working with Bonnie or working with Israel, that's your driver.
Sure.
If you go digging in a shared location and you pull out a driver, you have to leave notes so that we know that that's what happened, and it's just not like, oh, this driver, that was my driver, or we don't ever want it to be like that. So make sure you guys stay on one accord with
So like
each
an
other.
app died or, no response, that's, you dig in and you find that that's anybody.
But only if you're digging. And
Only
be
if-
honest, if they call
Right.
and say, hey, I'm ready to come on board, and app died, give them back to the recruiter that was dealing with them previously. And that's the right way to do it.
Okay.
That clarifies it.
Also, I wanted to talk to you guys about this month, February. February is another slow month from the last year, and I don't know if it's because of the winter that it slows down, but right now we are one of the better companies out here, if we not the best. And it's just us explaining that to the driver. We're gonna start putting out a lot more videos, explaining what we do, showing what we do. So if you guys can think of anything, I don't play big eyes, little U's. We all on the same team. We all bosses here. If you guys can think about something that can, help with a video that we can get out there that will help us on the hiring side, please bring it to the table. We need all heads on deck because we got 18 seats to fill. This is kind of the lowest that I've seen in a long time. It went from 1027, if you look at 1027, we were needing 38, and it stayed around that number all the way into the end of December. And then in January, we came up with 18 was our driver need. So we did really, really well. So if we can knock this out and get it to 0, I don't know what we'll do down there with no drivers to hire, but I think it's possible, and it'll look good for us to disappear off of these platforms with all of these companies that's struggling where they're hiring from. Just imagine not seeing KKW. Then when the driver called, like, are you hiring? No, we not. But I can add you into the database,
amazing.
and when we start hiring, we can give you a call. Is there anything you would like to talk about, Israel?
Well, actually, I just want to say that I think this year's doing well because you're a great leader. I think because you're a great manager.
I completely agree.
Thank you so much for coming in and just from a driver's perspective too, because you're not just the manager. You're also a driver.
I can't.
Don't do it.
I can't.
So being able to help us, and especially for me, because I'm not the driver. You guys are the drivers. But you coming in and bringing her on board as well, knowing that we need a driver's perspective, I think has been helpful for the team as a whole.
Thank you guys. I don't think we can have a better team. We have fun down there, even though we haven't had no laugh parties in a bit. But we have a lot of fun down there, and I just hope you guys continue to work down there with me, and I appreciate that, Israel. That mean a lot. And I think it's all you guys. I'm a addition to y'all team that y'all have. Y'all already great. Y'all will be great without me. So continue doing what y'all doing, and I just see a lot of success. And we're going to go knock on Benny Hoff door if we get this down to 0 and tell him, hey, it's time for some increase. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. What about yourself, Bonnie?
I would have to totally agree with that. I think I appreciate you so much, Eddie, and you are so great at bringing on qualified drivers.
Yeah,
We owe that to you. You
Yeah,
are
thank
fabulous at that. You can look at an application and you do research in 5 minutes, and it's the best research. And that is why the retention is the way that it is.
Yeah.
And that is also why it's 18.
Mm-hmm.
The honesty. You preach honesty. We preach honesty, but you're very, very honest. And I think, and it's very genuine. And I just wish people knew how many people applied with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how many actually come on board with us.
And by you saying that really quick, last week, the week ending in 1/12, we had 127 leads.
Wow.
And we had 33 full applications. And out of those 33, we only hired, I want to say, about 4 or 5 that week. So it's not easy to get in KKW.
Oh, no.
And that's the reason we got to be like that. We got to get the people who has the good work histories that, put their best foot forward during the interview. You get a guy who come in here, he's like, oh, I want to drive for you guys. What you got? Tell me. Now I'm like, oh, this is not a good fit because you got a lot of people in trucking. They're not professional. Like we were telling the kids at Patterson High School.
Correct.
You have to be professional. Just because you're in the trucking industry, you still have to be professional, period.
And we owe that to you, Eddie. I think you are fantastic at that.
Thank
I
you, Bonnie.
appreciate you for that.
Thank
A lot of times as a recruiter, we spend a lot of time on the phone with them. So we get a different view of them. As much as we're selling them, they're selling themselves to us.
Right.
So, we can really feel comfortable with them.
And I can get that as well because when I get a driver and I kind of start the whole process with them, I like to take it to Tom.
Yes.
Because my mind can get
You're
clouded
biased,
where
right?
I'm
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This is a great person, so I just take it to Tom for
Exactly.
him to review. So when I get applications, don't think I just approve them on my own just because I can. I take them to Tom and let him approve my applications. That way we still have a system.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to bring somebody in. I'm the recruiter. I'm the person interviewing you, and I'm the person making the decision.
Right.
That's just not right.
Right.
That's a conflict of interest. So I take my guys to Tom.
But that is why you are an excellent manager.
Thank you.
That is why you are very
Enough
successful.
for Eddie, y'all. It's
true.
and Israel.
I mean,
y'all are
Israel,
the
you're
stars.
awesome. I'm awesome, but we have to give credit where credit
We
is
have an awesome
due.
team.
We have an amazing team. Everybody has different strengths here, and I think that's what else helps us a lot. That's what carries us. But I'm just thinking about the influx of drivers that we get, and the relationships that we build.
Right.
But for me, I love hiring drivers, but I love retaining them too.
That's the most part.
And I
that's
think-
Most important part.
that's what make you guys great as well. Like most recruiters, they just want to hire to get a head count. Like I hired this many drivers.
Right.
But when you guys come to me and you're like, I don't think this driver is a good fit. I'm like, I get a feeling, I get the chills on my arms because you care. And you don't have that at a lot of companies. The recruiters just don't care. They just want to hire. And for you guys to be hiring and care, it's just a plus. That's what make us the best ever. So keep it up, keep caring. Let's keep handling retention. Let's turn KKW around and around and around. Even though we on the right side, let's keep turning it and let's see if we can grow it and let's see if we can take over the industry because it's a lot of good things gonna happen in this industry in the future, like us making $100,000 a year.
Yes, please.
Yes, and I said us.
And I do want to say this about you, Israel. I appreciate the fact that you have the rapport with some of your drivers, and they refer to you a lot. You know, and that says something about you. So keep doing that. You build these rapport with these drivers, and they keep referring, and they come in, and you have them recruiting basically.
Man.
And that's amazing that they go through that trouble, like they go through those steps, and then just give it over to you. So when you're telling your drivers when they come in and you meet with them about the referral, you're really telling them, this is the money you can make, but also, this is what you're looking for, because they really bring in the people. And I love
That's
that.
what I do a lot of now
that.
too. I pull the driver to your driver. I put them to the side, and I'm like, hey, this is your extra money.
Yeah.
We got a driver who referred 7 drivers in a month when the referral was $1,000. Do the math.
Yes.
And they get the count, and they're like, why am I just driving and not talking to these drivers?
Right.
And that's what we want to do. We want to get our driver referrals up a little higher. If we can do that and get off of these platforms platforms. I don't want to be on these platforms no more.
I know.
It's not the best place to be.
Right.
The Craigslist and things like that. If we can just hire from referrals, that would make us a grade A company.
Amazing.
Grade A. Like, that's the only way to get in. You have some companies, that's the only way you can get in is from a referral.
Yep.
Imagine if we could do that.
Amazing.
That would be great. And that's why we kept the referral bonus, because of your drivers at $1,000.
Yeah.
The referral bonus is going to stay $1,000, and we're still fighting to get it to that 2019.
Yeah.
That's a hard fight, but I'm still fighting that fight. So hopefully it can happen. I am going to start turning my points over for the flights. I'm going to talk to him again. I talked to him about it yesterday. We got crickets in there, not many people talking, but we are going to work on that point system to see if we can give away some flight tickets and some other things on board.
I think it's great.
So good job, team. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate working with you. And till next meeting.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.